Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to your Chelsea news video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And let's dive into it. There's a few bits of news over the last few days, a couple of bits that I wanted to go into in a little bit more detail. So let's get straight into it. And the first thing I wanted to touch on was the future of Conor Gallagher. Now, we had an exclusive from the Mail a day or two ago, suggesting that some insiders at Chelsea are pushing for the sale of Conor Gallagher because it makes financial sense. As the exclusive Chelsea considering the shock sale of Conor Gallagher in January, some figures at the club are understood to be arguing that it makes financial sense to sell him. What I would say is that those people involved in the club should not be listened to. And they should be ignored. And quite frankly, they should probably be sacked and moved out of a job. On no level does this make any sense whatsoever. I understand why the thought is out there. It was floated around last summer. I think a bid from West Ham got rejected. Gallagher's always maintained that he's wanted to stay at Chelsea. He's been one of, if not our best player this season. He's captained the club on occasions. He wants to play for this football club. He wants to be here. And it would be a huge, huge mistake from the owners. And, more importantly than a supporters like myself view is that Pochettino rates him very highly. He's given him the captaincy at times. And he clearly is a big fan of the player, clearly likes him, uses him a lot. I think he started every game, bar the United game, which he was suspended for. It would be a massive fuck you to Pochettino if the owners went in and cashed in on Gallagher. I understand why some figures at the club are understood to be arguing that it makes sense to sell him, because I think Chelsea are sailing a little bit close to the wind on FFP with all these deals. But we shouldn't be in a situation where reckless spending or spending which is not made sense or, subsequently transpired has been a mistake, that the way we get out of it is by, selling academy players because it's pure profits on the books, and Cobham bails us out that way. I never thought I'd be in a position where I am sticking up and defending Conor Gallagher, but where it makes sense, even if I think long term, he's perhaps not good enough to play for Chelsea week in, week out and make himself a regular over the next 2 to 3 years per se. Like, he's got 18 months left on his contract. It absolutely makes sense, whether you're going to sell him or not, to extend his contract. It protects his value. And even if you don't want to keep him, just make sure he's got more years on the contract, protect the value. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, he's not going to, I'd be shocked if he was sold in January. Even if you wanted to move him on at the end of the season, you're reducing the amount of money you're going to get with a guy that's got a year left on his contract. So it really is a no-brainer to offer Conor Gallagher a new contract, regardless of whether he's at the club in the next year or two, because you want to maximize the amount of money you can potentially get for him. But this season, he's been nothing short of brilliant. He's been the biggest surprise package, I think. I don't think anyone expected him to play as well as he has done. And the fact that, these reports are surfacing again, it goes to show that, certain people inside the club are clearly pushing for this because it's money motivated, it's pure profit on the books, and we do need to raise funds. Potentially we need to sell before we can buy in January. And you look at your most sellable assets, and Conor Gallagher would fall into that category based on the fact that he is an academy player. Obviously, I think Trevor Chalobah and Ian Martin will both move on. That's going to be pure profit on the books as well. But the Gallagher one, I'd be shocked if he left in January. I don't understand why talks for a new contract haven't taken place yet. I fully appreciate and understand that he would be, slightly, giving it second thought about signing one of those death row 8-year contracts that potentially the club would want him to sign. I fully get that, why you wouldn't want to sign that length of contract. I don't really know why we want to offer that length of contract, particularly for renewals. It doesn't really make sense, but just get him tied down, because he's been brilliant for us this season. And if you want to get the most money we can for him, then we need to make sure that he's got length on his contract, which right now he currently doesn't have. So as I said, I never thought I'd be in a position where I'm defending Conor Gallagher, but on no circumstances does this make any sense to sell Gallagher. And it would be a massive, massive misreading of the room from the ownership, from certain people within the club, if they try to push ahead with this. And indeed, it does go through in January. But I'd be very surprised if it did go through in January. End of the season, potentially something different of maybe. But yeah, if this happened in January, I'd be shocked, and I think there would be a lot of backlash towards a decision like that. So look, Gallagher should be staying at Chelsea. Look, wait to see what happens if a new striker comes in once Nkunku's back fit and playing again. Whether he maintains his place in the starting lineup, potentially not. But yeah, it makes sense to keep him round for sure and extend his contract. And any decision otherwise is massively misreading the room. From the ownership and perhaps the sporting directors and people from within the club that are potentially pushing for that to try and claw back some money from reckless spending. The next thing I wanted to cover was Reece James, and I covered it in yesterday's live stream, but there's been a bit more information coming up. And like I myself, like other fans, have just been screaming, "Oh, get the surgery, get the surgery." But it turns out, it is a little bit more complex than that. Big up to Matisse, by the way, who posted this little thing yesterday on Twitter. I'm sure he's obviously been sent that. Hey guys, training orthopedic surgeon here. It's not as easy as people are making it sound, that he has surgery and he'll return a new man, like people who have injuries to their ligaments, etc. Hamstring injuries are very complex due to their anatomy and are different types in most people. It is muscle tears for which you can't do much surgically and don't have a choice, but wait and watch. If it's a tendon injury, again, very difficult as you develop a lot of scar tissue, which is difficult to remove, especially in someone as muscular as Reece, and also your sciatic nerve can easily be damaged as it may be stuck in scar tissue and leave him disabled for life. Surgery itself also doesn't guarantee this won't happen again. It's not like your usual ligaments reconstruction like ACL, in which you use a strong graft to replace the torn ligament. In this, you mainly put some screws or anchors into the bone and reattach the tendon back on, which can tear again, though. So it's a very challenging situation for Reece. Now, look, I've been critical of the rehabilitation process in the past. This is the 6th or 7th hamstring injury for Reece. Clearly, what's happened before is not really fixing the problem, and the surgery would be the obvious solution to try and fix it. It's the one thing that's not been tried yet. Yes, of course, there's no guarantees that it would fix it, but, if it's not been tried, that's why I've been calling it for it to happen. But when you get a bit more information from, a specialist like this, you can obviously understand that it's a lot more complex than that. And obviously, they'll be taking the advice of specialists, they'll be taking the advice of the Chelsea medical team, all that sort of stuff. And Matt Law himself saying on the London is Blue podcast that this time, though, if surgery is recommended, then they will have it. So there's been a constant desire from both Chelsea and Reece James to try and avoid having surgery. If they get any advice for surgery now, they will take it this time. And look, I think that's fair to say. Like I like other fans have questioned, well, why does he keep doing the same rehab and avoiding the surgery? The same thing keeps happening. But if that is the advice being given from the specialists, from the doctors or whatever, then you're obviously going to listen to that advice. You listen to people that are specialists in their area. And if that's been the advice that, that not having surgery is the best way forward, then that's why he's taken it. And so hopefully this time, maybe surgery does come up in the advice and Reece takes it and we give him whatever time he needs to recover and come back. You have more patience with Reece because 1, he's the captain. 2, he's one of our own. 3, he is a world-class player. And, you stick by your own, and he's been loyal to us. And in return, loyalty, you give loyalty, you receive loyalty in return. So, yeah, look, it's massively, massively disappointing that Reece is going to be out for so long. But yeah, everyone that's been screaming, I'll just get the surgery, myself included, it subsequently transpires that it probably is a little bit more complicated than just get the surgery. But look, any advice this time, according to Matt Law, Reece James will go and get the surgery. And if he does get the surgery, if it's advised and he goes for it, he's probably going to miss pretty much all of the rest of this season. But if that's what it takes to fix Reece James and getting back fit and firing for the in years going by, then that absolutely has to be the case. Reece James hasn't played, like the most games Reece James has played, isn't played he's not had a fully fit season since he was on loan at Wigan. That has to change. That simply has to change. So yeah, whatever can be done needs to be done. Stick with Reece. It must be devastating for him on a personal level, mentally so tough to deal with. Hopefully he's got good people around him. Certainly the fan base are fully on side of him. I know there's been people saying we should sell him. Ridiculous. Don't get it at all. You stick by your players. And yeah, look, let's see what happens with him. But it's not as simple as, just get the surgery is all I'm saying. And the last thing I wanted to quickly cover was obviously we've had some training pictures from Tuesday's training session. Obviously, so actually, and from today as well. That we've got Christopher Nkunku, Romeo Lavia, and Malo Gusto have all been in team training. Now, I know I don't want this to be another false dawn. We've been sort of talking about this for weeks now. And Nkunku is really close. We thought he'd make Newcastle. He didn't make it. And he subsequently hasn't made any of the games since then. But there's a real feeling, certainly from my perspective, that this might be the game that maybe we see him in. Lavia seems to be making good progress involved in team training with the group. Maybe it's the game he makes it. But most importantly, Malo Gusto back in team training. Hopefully he makes it. With Reece out, we really need Gusto to be fit at right back, because otherwise we're looking at a situation where it's probably Axel Disasi at right back. We don't know what Cucurella's ankle injury is, the subsequent diagnosis of that one from the game at Everton. There's been no further information on that in terms of whether he's on the injury list or not. I guess we'll find out on Friday when the injury list goes out. But we need Gusto fit so we can take that right back slot, because we desperately need bodies in that area. But positives that, again, Nkunku part of the group, Lavia part of the group, and Gusto back in training. Sort of a boost that we really need ahead of a must-win game against Sheffield United on the weekend. We really need to bounce back. It's going to be interesting to see who's available and who isn't. But yeah, it's good to see the guys in training. I know it feels like another false dawn, but yeah, let's hope this time, the debuts are pending against Sheffield United at Stamford Bridge on Saturday. But yeah, guys, those are just a few things that I wanted to go through in a little bit more detail, give my thoughts on. As always, guys, make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll catch you again in another video soon. Up the Chelsea, and peace out, people.